Don't we all just love horror films? What about a horror game turned into a movie? Well, we've got a new one coming around sometime soon. And it's not just any old game, we're talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. In today's video, we're going to be going over some news regarding the confirmation of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie at Blumhouse. Let's go! First up, for all you new entries to the franchise, the Five Nights at Freddy's game was launched in 2014 and very quickly accumulated a large fanbase. This was in regards to its unusual approach to the horror game genre. It doesn't follow your typical run-and-gun style. Instead, the player is placed in the role of a night watchman. The player is stuck in his office all night and is desperate to get through it. He or she looks at several grainy camera feeds to try to keep the animatronics away and follow their movements. Alongside this, the player has control over closing doors, with a limited amount of electricity on either side of the room in case the animatronics show up. The goal of the game is to get through 5 nights and a bonus night and, ironically enough, get fired from their job as the watchman. There is also an option to replay the nights with a different setting of difficulty. The game took a new spin on the horror genre and has proven to be immensely successful, particularly with popular YouTube content creators streaming it. These include the likes of Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and PewDiePie, among other influencer giants with very large fan bases. It has now become an icon in the gaming industry, and there are a lot of fan projects following in its footsteps too. So an announcement for a film adaptation is exactly what fans have wanted for a long time, especially since it's been in the works for quite a while. Stay here, because the next segment covers what you've all been waiting for. Up next, the announcement we've all been waiting for. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie has been officially announced by Blumhouse, and there's news that it's finally set in motion. What a world we live in. Starting off as just an independently developed game by Scott Cawthon, we've seen the franchise rise to new heights. With 8 sequels under its belt, the series has exploded in popularity with a dedicated following, and we're a part of it. People even dress up as animatronics for Halloween. It's even gone on to sell well on consoles with the launch of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Since 2015, when Warner Brothers bought the rights to the robot horror franchise Five Nights at Freddy's, plans have been in the works to turn it into a movie. It has gone through various ideas and rehearsals for a plot since then, none of which have been solid enough to get film production in the works. One idea was that the government reprogrammed the animatronics at Freddy Fazbear's for war, and a group of teenagers found out about it. Another discussed a true adaptation of an official Five Nights at Freddy's novel, Silver Eyes. If you're a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise and you haven't read it, we recommend giving it a go. But none of these ideas were solid enough to start film production for a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and so they were all scrapped. And just when the world needed them most, Blumhouse stated publicly that a movie for Five Nights at Freddy's was officially in the works. The film will be directed by Emma Tammi, who has previously worked on the horror piece The Wind and also has writing credits on Blood Moon. Blood Moon was part of a series of episodes in Hulu's horror show Into the Dark. The more you know. Also, Scott Cawthon and Jason Blum are both going to be producers on the movie. The script is being written by Seth Cuddleback, Scott, and Tammi. The designs will be in the hands of Jim Henson's Creature Shop. They're famously known for their handiwork in The Muppets and the Dark Crystal franchise. Even better, we've got a tentative date for the film to go into production alongside all of these confirmations. It's set to do so in early 2023, and we can't wait. Blum has stated that the Five Nights at Freddy's film is more consistently asked about than any other film. He's gone on to assure fans that they're set on bringing Scott's vision to life and that it'll be worth the wait. And now, don't go anywhere, because we've got some exciting news about a possible extension of this single movie into a full-blown franchise. Next up, could this lead to a Five Nights at Freddy's franchise? Now that Blumhouse is in charge of the project, it seems very likely that a Five Nights at Freddy's movie could lead to a whole series of movies, ranging from games to novels and short story collections. 7 more plan to be released by January 2024. Five Nights at Freddy's has it all. We could be in for a treat with the involvement of Blumhouse, which has helped Insidious and The Purge become popular and profitable franchises. The fact that the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise is so flexible and that Blumhouse is now involved really helps the movie and opens up so many more doors for it. Just like with the massive commercial success of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise, Five Nights at Freddy's could gain a lot from its status as a video game. And now, what to expect? Well, we hate to break it to you, but details about the film are being kept under wraps for now. The film will likely be released in late 2023 or early 2024, considering that production will start in February 2023, but nothing is certain as of now. But it's fair to assume that Blumhouse will be rebooting the series in a way that will appeal not only to the fans of the series, but also to people unfamiliar with the franchise. Given the isolated nature of the game, this would be the best course of action and would also draw the most attention. Everyone deserves a chance to get to know Freddy and the gang. Blumhouse is known for making its films on a lower budget, but that hasn't stopped them him from producing some of the best horror experiences we've had. To name a few: Paranormal Activity, Whiplash, Get Out, and Split. Moving on, there's also the possibility of there being a Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach adaptation, as it contains numerous voiced characters. This wasn't the case with the older games. With Scott Cawthon involved though, the movie is sure to deliver some of the best scares and mysteries, just like the games. And that's exactly what we're hoping for. And finally, the developments that preceded the breakthrough. Back on August 9, Jason Blum took to Twitter to share with fans a photo of the gang working tirelessly at Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Looking at the picture more carefully, we saw that one of the shop's designers had shaped and cut tiny pieces that were beginning to take form. It was rather hard to discern then what the shape actually was, but it seemed to be resembling the body of the film's Freddy Fazbear. What really gave our favorite bear away was the bow tie, puffy chest, and microphone. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie was initially geared up in the works back in early 2018, but it faced a myriad of problems. Christopher Columbus, who has directed Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire, was initially going to direct the movie, and he was also in charge of the screenplay. But it was revealed last September that his name was no longer attached to the production of the film. This wasn't the first time this has happened, as we saw something similar with Gil Keenan, who signed on to direct the franchise in July 2015. After a lot of delays and roadblocks, the film was back at square one. Ultimately, in June 2017, Keenan stated that he would no longer be directing the film after Warner Brothers Pictures' turnaround. Anyways, coming back to now, COVID came along and all the news surrounding the awaited horror flick died out until August 9th. Fans of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise finally got some news they had long been waiting for. It also confirmed that this wasn't just a pipe dream anymore, it was actually happening. In an interview with Collider in October 2021, Blum stated that Five Nights at Freddy's was a difficult case to crack. Coupled with Columbus's departure, the film also faced issues regarding its script. Blum needed the green light from Scott Cawthon himself, as it had to match his expectations. Scott is obviously passionate about this, and for him to be satisfied, the film had to have the right amount of fright and mystery, and the script is finally delivered. It's safe to say that that day has passed, and we live in a time where we're going to see a Five Nights at Freddy's movie soon. And that's a wrap. Do you think the production of the film is going to be bumpy considering the recent past? Whom would you most like to see on the big screen among Freddy and his friends? Oh, and are you excited for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Let us know in the comments below. See you all at the next one.